national sporting event.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Ontario is set to enter its first stage of reopening on Tuesday. It'll include lifting restrictions on retail stores, golf courses, marinas, and a long list of other activities. Premier Doug Ford says the province can now gradually begin to reopen workplaces, but he cautions that process will be reversed if there is any significant spike in COVID-19 cases. Colin DeMello reports.
2 months after first being shut down, the province is ready to unseal parts of the economy, beginning this weekend with a suite of recreational activities.
Private parks and campgrounds, marinas and boat clubs, golf courses and businesses that board animals will be allowed to open.
But the real reopening will kick off next Tuesday when the government restarts major sectors of the economy.
And we couldn't have done it without the people of Ontario, 14.5 million people. That's the reason we're able to open up on Tuesday.
On May 19th, all construction will be allowed to restart. Malls will still be closed, but all retailers with street-level access can reopen.
They can actually open their doors, but following a very tough set of guidelines.
Those include restrictions on the number of customers based on the size of the business, ensuring physical distancing, and using half the number of fitting rooms to keep customers separated. What is not allowed to reopen just yet is restaurants.
We're going to have to get the approval off the Chief Medical Officer and the health team before we move forward into opening up restaurants.
Certain healthcare services like in-person counseling can resume, addiction counseling, family counseling, and rape crisis centers. What will not be coming back next week, however, are dentists, optometrists, and chiropractors. And surgeries will only resume when an individual hospital is ready.
It's not expected that will start on May 19th, but the process has already begun with the readiness assessments, and we're very hopeful that they will be able to start with those scheduled procedures very soon.
Starting next Tuesday, veterinary services can return by appointment only. Other animal services, including pet grooming, dog walking, pet sitting, and pet training, can resume. But people grooming, such as hair salons, will still be closed.
We have to make sure safety comes first, and especially in those close quarters when you have a hairdresser or a barber right over top of you cutting your hair. We're going to have to hold off on that for a little while.
Leisure activities will return as well. Private parks, campgrounds, golf courses, marinas, tennis courts, cycling tracks, and horse riding will return. But public pools will remain closed. And households can now re-employ workers, such as housekeepers, nannies, or babysitters. But the government provided little details on when social gatherings will be expanded.
There'll be announcements in the days ahead with regards to other important issues, including group size, childcare, education.
The reopening is the start of a return to normal, but Premier Ford warns we could move backwards at any time.
We can't fully predict where things will go, so we need to be ready to react.
The government will keep an eye on new case numbers before deciding whether to move forward.
Officials here in Thunder Bay are reacting to this next stage of provincial reopenings. Medical Officer of Health Dr. Janet DeMille is warning that the changes will likely lead to more positive COVID cases, but she says she's reassured knowing that it's being done in conjunction with promising numbers. Corey Nordstrom reports.
It appears what they're doing is a fairly balanced approach to reopening.
The district's medical officer of health is nervous about reopening, but understands it as a necessary step forward. Premier Ford put a stronger onus on health units to enhance the testing and tracing of each case. Dr. Janet DeMille says they at the health unit have reinforced their own resources to make sure they can comply with the latest from the province.
We're looking at how to do that in a sustainable way because we've been very challenged over the last 2 months with the number of cases, but we're repositioning our staff and our resources to be able to do that.
DeMille says they are anticipating an increase of positive COVID cases in the region as the province plans to slowly cut restrictions. Ford says if COVID numbers rise too high again, a backward step will need to be taken. DeMille says she's happy with the way people have complied with safety measures to this point and is hopeful the district can keep that up in case of a more challenging second wave.
I feel an anxiety that perhaps people will let their guard down, especially when things start to open up and the weather gets nicer.
Meanwhile, those in the business community continue to welcome the province's reopening plan. Thunder Bay Chamber of Commerce President Charla Robinson says now is the time for business owners to secure PPE and other items to make sure they can comply with the provincial orders before opening their doors again.
The most important thing is to make sure that you're ready as a business owner to actually be able to follow those rules, and as a consumer to make sure that we're aware of the rules and following the rules, because we don't want to have to go backwards.
Robinson also wants businesses not a part of this phase to pay close attention in case they are included in the province's next reopening plans. Corey Nordstrom, TBT News.
Thunder Bay has another case of COVID-19, the 79th reported in the region. The district health unit says it's a male in his 20s who's now self-isolating. In addition to the new case, the health unit also issued an advisory about a case that had previously been reported. It involved an individual who worked at the Memorial Avenue Walmart in Thunder Bay. Following an investigation, the health unit says customers who were in store or used the pickup service on May 3rd, 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th may have been exposed to COVID-19. While they stress that the risk is low, they say those individuals should monitor themselves closely and call the health unit if they develop even one symptom. The health unit is also following up with other staff members who may have been exposed. Thunder Bay OPP are investigating the discovery of some human remains found in a remote area north of the city. Police have secured the area located near Wasp Road off Highway 527. Investigators were called in yesterday afternoon after a forestry worker spotted the remains. Northwest Crime Unit, Forensic ID team, and an anthropologist from Toronto will assist with the investigation. OPP spokesperson Constable Greg Mosa says there is nothing suspicious about the scene at this time.
No, this is a typical practice for us when we have these type of situations. There's nothing suspicious at this time. It's a death investigation that we're conducting. We responded to the area and we have maintained the area as far as the scene, and we have officers out there doing that at this time.
Numerous family members of 35-year-old Eddie Tremblay are posting on social media that the body is that of their missing loved one. Tremblay disappeared in the Hilldale Road area in July of last year. Police have not confirmed the identity, and we hope to have more information on the NewsHour tomorrow. The COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in a lot of uncertainty for a wide variety of businesses and their employees here in Thunder Bay. This week, the federal government launched the Regional Relief and Recovery Fund to help those who are slipping through the cracks. The funding is being delivered through regional development agencies across the country. FedNor, which serves Northern Ontario, has been given close to $50 million. About $24 million of that will be distributed across small and medium-sized local businesses that are unable to access other measures. There's also $25.5 million that can be applied for by Main Street businesses under repayable contributions. Area MPs Marcus Pulowski and Patty Hajdu say during these tough times, many businesses need help making ends meet.
Well, a lot of companies, I think, are basically trying to survive. And I think we all realize that things will get better. But in the meantime, you have to get through these times and you need the money, especially if it's an interest-free loan. Then I think it makes it a lot easier for businesses to get by. I mean, realistically, look at the size of the country and the number of people we have to support through these trying times.
We've heard a lot about these folks. They might be an entrepreneur, for example, that doesn't have a payroll. I think about a lot of the small businesses in the riding that I represent, for example. The money is intended to be there for them, to support them. And so what I would say is work through our office or also the FedNor office for those folks that have fallen through the cracks from a business perspective and can't access either the loans or the wage subsidy. That's what this money is for.
Northern Ontario businesses that have applied for but were unable to access existing relief funds are encouraged to review the new Regional Relief and Recovery Fund. As we first told you yesterday on the NewsHour, intercommunity bus service is about to arrive in the Northwest. The province officially announced today that its Ontario Northland buses will begin serving the area between Thunder Bay and White River this weekend. And they've now added a new route between Thunder Bay and Winnipeg with stops in Ignace, Dryden, and Kenora. Ryan Benazzo has details.
The provincially funded Ontario Northland buses will finally service much more of the Northland. A bus will travel from White River to Thunder Bay on Sunday, the first of 3 weekly trips moving forward. Then on Monday, twice weekly trips begin from Thunder Bay to Winnipeg, with stops in Dryden and Kenora. For Kenora Rainy River MPP Greg Rickford, it's the culmination of his lobbying efforts that date back to when he served as a federal MP.
I'm just so excited for my friends in Thunder Bay and across here to Kenora. I thought it was just unfair that it stopped at White River.
This marks the first uninterrupted passenger bus service across the Northwest since Greyhound pulled out of the region in the fall of 2018. Transportation Minister Caroline Mulroney says she's heard all about it since moving into her current role.
Since I've been Minister of Transportation, I've been hearing directly from people across the Northwest about the need to provide critical bus service.
A historic day for Ontario Northland to be supporting the entire northern part of the province.
CEO Karina Moore says the service is critical for those from smaller communities who need to travel to Thunder Bay or Winnipeg for medical appointments. The buses will stop at hospitals in both cities, and the organization has measures in place to operate safely in the face of COVID-19.
Having a maximum capacity on our buses and making sure that some of the seats are blocked off, so we have social distancing. We have exceptional cleaning going on right now, and we also are doing pre-screening with all of our passengers to make sure that we keep people as safe as possible.
Reduced ridership during the pandemic will make it even harder to turn a profit in a section of the province that was already notoriously expensive to operate in. But Mulroney says Ontario isn't looking at this as a money-making venture.
It needs to be done, and in the age of COVID, it needed to be done even sooner than expected.
This is an essential service, and certainly during this pandemic, supporting these communities is vital. And obviously, ridership is down across the world right now. So we aren't focused on that. We're focused on making sure that these communities are connected in the way they should be.
Ryan Benazzo, TBT News.
A forest fire, which closed Highway 17 between Wraith and Chappaqua yesterday, is still not considered under control, according to the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry. 6 fire ranger crews continue to battle the blaze, known as Thunder Bay 4. It's listed at around 50 hectares in size, and officials with the MNR say they're making good progress with the overnight rain helping. They've also stopped using the water bombers that were brought in yesterday afternoon. Hydro One says over 350 people in the area were left without power due to burned hydro poles, but power was fully restored at about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Highway 17 was reopened at around 9:30 last night following an 8-hour shutdown. There's still no estimate on when the blaze will be fully under control. Thunder Bay police are reporting another sizable drug bust. It came following a raid late Wednesday morning at a home in the 2000 block of Linda Avenue. Over $65,000 in cannabis was seized, along with over $5,000 in cash. A 62-year-old city man is facing several charges. The Lac des Îles mine north of Thunder Bay has started to reopen following a COVID-19 outbreak, which led to a month-long mining shutdown. Between April 3rd and April 20th, a total of 25 cases were confirmed among mine employees. One of them, 52-year-old David Tersch, passed away due to complications from the virus. The outbreak was declared over on May 4th, with all cases considered resolved. Officials with Impala Canada say the 3-phase reopening plan and new safety protocols began Tuesday with a rotation of care and maintenance crews. Underground and surface crews will begin prep work next Tuesday with the full restart of the mine on May 26th. The return to work will be voluntary for all employees, as some may be unwilling to return at this time. United Steelworkers rep Herb Danaher says the majority of his 500 members are ready to go back to work and make a living.
Safety is the primary concern, but the secondary is that working is a big part of people's lives, and everybody wants to earn a living. And so that for the most part, I think people are prepared to return, and those that aren't or have reservations about it, there's an option for them as well.
This is an important part of our economy, an important part of the restart. It's been difficult for some folks to understand why mining is an essential service, but critical minerals and other major elements have to continue production. They're the foundational elements of an economy. And if we're to restart, mining plays an important role in that, and it employs a lot of people. So we want to strike that careful balance.
Impala officials are encouraging all workers to consider their personal health, family, and the overall threat of COVID-19 before returning to work. They say jobs will be protected so employees can return when they're ready. Although we're roughly 9 months away from the first stone being thrown at the Scotties Tournament of Hearts here in Thunder Bay, the coronavirus pandemic is raising questions about the status of the tournament, with large gatherings at major sporting events likely prohibited for some time. Curling Canada and the local organization committee are planning for every possible scenario. Michael Mahorovich reports.
Back in January, Thunder Bay got the announcement that was 24 years in the making.
I'm truly thrilled and proud to announce that my hometown of Thunder Bay will host the 2021 Scotties Tournament of Hearts.
But will that be the case? With the COVID-19 pandemic casting doubt on major sporting events, Rick Lang, chair of the organizing committee, says the event is still on tap to go ahead in February, but that could change.
Well, like the rest of the world, we're on a little bit of a holding pattern right now. On a national level, Curling Canada has been in touch with us, and of course it will be their call as to what happens with it because it's their property. But they're making contingency plans everywhere from a full event, just the way it's supposed to be, and a great event, down to full cancellation, and they're taking all those situations into account. They've advised us to carry on and keep planning and keep working on it with the hope that it will happen here.
One of those contingency plans is having the event without fans. But if that's the case, the event may be moved to a place closer to Curling Canada's partners to reduce travel. Director of Communications and Media Relations for Curling Canada, Al Cameron, says all scenarios are being considered.
Making a plan in May for an event in February and saying specifically what will happen doesn't seem like the right thing to do. Although I can tell you that we do have, we're planning for every contingency that's out there. That is underway, but we don't know what the situation will be.
The event was expected to bring with it $7 million worth of economic impact, the majority of that from ticket sales. But without fans, Lang says hosting the event in 2021 just may not be worth it for the city.
To do it without fans, of course, would lose a lot. So my hope would be that if they're going to modify the event at all, that we would cancel it here for perhaps a year and get it back the next year. But that's just my personal point of view.
As of now, there's no timetable for a decision on the Scotties if they have to be relocated, rescheduled, reconfigured, or canceled in 2021. For now, the organizing committee plans on putting out a call for volunteers in September, hoping by then they'll have more clarity and hoping that they will indeed be hosting the Scotties here in Thunder Bay in 2021. Michael Mahorovich, TBT News.
Obviously, when it comes to the Scotties, a positive mindset is the best mindset.